Hey there, new freight brokers. Gear up because today we're going to smash the myth that building your freight broker credit takes forever. Okay, if you're struggling to attract carriers because your credit score is basically a ghost town, right? Been there, done that. Listen up, okay? Because you're not going to have to rely on quick pay as a crutch to build a rock solid history. Okay. In this video, we're going to talk about accelerating your credit score and attracting those carriers like a magnet. All right. So buckle up and get ready to unlock the secrets most new freight brokers miss. Okay. With that being said, I'd like to welcome everyone here today. And I talked to a few of you here recently, and with the kind of recent trend in the market, we're starting to see that little bit of an uptick. We've seen a lot of freight brokerages, a lot of carriers kind of unfortunately go under as a result of, the previous 2 years. The massive downturn in the freight market. There's this new hope on the horizon, right? Not to quote Star Wars or anything, but so I felt that this topic was kind of important because, in my humble opinion, I think that as we progress closer and closer to 2025, we will start to see more new freight brokerages open up. Okay. And part of being a new freight brokerage, one of the most important things is establishing your credit history, right? And your days to pay. Because if you are a new freight broker now, or, have been a new freight broker, or, getting ready to be a new freight broker, you're going to find out that very quickly that it is a struggle, right? To attract carriers and sometimes customers to trust you to pay, right? And so establishing that credit history, that your credit is vital to your business. Okay. So first thing you're obviously going to want to do, which I'm sure this is probably kind of a yeah, Tim sort of a thing, but establish a separate business identity, right? An LLC or a corporation. Okay. You're going to need to form an LLC or a corporation to separate your personal finances from your business finances. Okay. This creates a distinct credit profile for your brokerage. Okay. Build business credit with trade payment history. Okay. Things like vendor accounts. Okay. Apply for vendor accounts with suppliers or large carriers, right? Pay your invoices on time and establish a positive trade payment history, which builds your business credit, right? Business credit cards. Consider a business credit card specifically for business expenses. Okay. I can't stress that enough. Strictly for business expenses, right? Responsible use and on-time payment builds a positive credit history. Be mindful of interest rates and fees, though, okay? Because there's a plethora of options out there, okay? One of the things that talking about this is being a new freight broker, obviously nobody trusts you, right? You're the new kid on the block, essentially, and, carriers are more or less gonna avoid you like the plague. Okay. They're going to see your loads posted and just be like, what? No way. So, it's important. Or maybe you'll get a call because they didn't check you with their factoring company. Okay. And, you'll go through, you'll spend the time going over the details of the load only for them to say, unfortunately, we can't do this load for you. They might not even mention why. So it's important to ask them, well, why is that? Okay. And they might say, well, because our you're not already pre-approved by our factoring company, which oftentimes if you ask them who their factoring company is and their rep's contact information. You can oftentimes reach out to them if it's like a $1,500 load or something like that. Let them know that you yourself are factoring, right? Because your factoring company is going to guarantee that payment to them. Okay. And so therefore they will oftentimes say, okay, well, let's go ahead, try this load. As long as we get paid, you know what I mean? And we do a few more loads, we'll get you in the system, as an approved broker. Okay. So having a factoring company yourself, in my humble opinion, I'm tongue-tied today for a Monday, right? Is kind of vital, because carriers are going to want to know that your payment to them is guaranteed. Okay. So basically, factoring companies purchase your invoices at a discount, right? So they charge a very small fee, and while providing immediate cash flow to cover expenses and pay carriers on time. Okay. So oftentimes having that factoring company in your back pocket, essentially it helps to build trust, right? Even if it's a carrier that isn't factoring themselves, right? And maybe they haven't credit checked you, let them know that, hey, we have a factoring company. This is who it is. You might even, send that information over to them. And it should be a part of your carrier setup packet as well, so that they can verify that, yes, you are working with, a factoring company. And the potential credit boost of using a factoring company is that the right factoring company, like Operfi, right? We love Operfi over here. They report your on-time payments to the business credit bureaus, right? And this can improve your broker credit score. Okay. Not all factoring companies do this, right? And this is one of the things that I love about Operfi, is that they've taken factoring, while in the traditional sense, they're not trying to reinvent the wheel of factoring, but it's all of the additional services and things that they offer that really makes Operfi stand out, right? And why we like them so much over here. And just to kind of elaborate on Operfi a little bit, they offer broker training, right? You can learn the important tips to be successful in starting a freight brokerage, everything from customers, legal, administrative, and obviously credit, building your credit. They ensure factoring credit departments accept Operfi clients to ensure you're on your way to building credit. Okay. They offer, obviously, net 30-day terms and quick pays to your carriers, which we're going to get into quick pays by the end of this video, because quick pays are a little bit of a trap. Okay. And it's something that you don't want to have to be the norm. Okay. And again, we'll explain all of that a little later in the video. Once you find your customers, you can check their credit even before, you set up that first phone call, or that first meeting, to know if they're approved prior, to even booking your first load, right? Carrier vetting partners, know your carriers and understand the importance of finding legitimate and qualified carriers to haul your customers' freight, right? Who else does this stuff? Operfi does. That's who. And TMS partners. If you're in the process of just starting up your brokerage, obviously there's certain softwares and things that you're going to have, and they have recommended TMS partners. For instance, to be a successful brokerage, you have to have an organized process and software to manage, book and track loads from start to finish. Okay. So basically, in addition to the factoring, they're offering education, resources, back office support, and fast payments, so you can focus on, building your book of business to grow and scale. Okay. So, moving on, monitor your credit reports regularly. Okay. This is another key thing that you're going to want to do, right? Regularly check that your business credit reports are accurate, right? And dispute any errors promptly to ensure a clean report. Okay. Prioritize your on-time payments. Make timely payments on invoices, right? And this is, again, where Operfi comes in, to making sure that those payments to your carriers are made on time. Okay. Pay your credit cards, your business credit cards on time, and your other business expenses. Okay. Don't let it push out, 30 days and beyond. All right. This establishes a reliable payment history, which creditors value highly. Okay. Building relationships. We always talk about building relationships on this channel, right? Develop positive relationships with carriers, shippers, and vendors. Okay. This fosters trust and may lead to more favorable payment terms in the future, reducing reliance on credit initially. Okay. And one thing I did forget to mention is, I'm kind of going over my notes and things here, and I don't know if I just accidentally skipped it, but when you get set up with Operfi, all the carrier, as a new freight broker or even an existing freight broker, obviously, they have a network of carriers that are in their system that are already factoring with Operfi, right? So those carriers, assuming that they have the right equipment type and everything, are in that system, and you are going to be pre-approved to those carriers inside the Operfi system. Okay, so you think about the hundreds and thousands of carriers inside the Operfi system. Those carriers, you're going to be pre-approved, obviously, to those carriers. Okay, so earlier we mentioned QuickPay and why QuickPay is not the best option for freight brokers when trying to build credit. Okay. It has a limited impact on your credit, right? There's no credit reporting. QuickPay transactions typically aren't reported to credit business. I don't know why I'm so tongue-tied today, people. I apologize. Typically aren't reported to business credit bureaus. Okay. So even though you're paying carriers promptly, right, it might not get reflected on your credit history, right? And this is crucial for building a strong credit profile, right? Not to mention with, the rampant, fraud that the industry has been plagued with, a lot of brokerages, even very large brokerages, have kind of shied away from offering QuickPay, right? It's at least until they've got an X amount of time, that carrier has X amount of time, established with that broker. It might be 90 days, might be 6 months, might be even be a year, and or they've done, so many number of loads with that broker, right? It's all part of that building that trust, that relationship process, because, when the industry kind of got plagued with a lot of that freight fraud, a lot of the brokers that were offering QuickPay, they would pay the double broker, who in turn never paid, carrier B, and it just creates a ton of issues, right? Loss of customers, which impacts you, and your cash flow, right? QuickPay also focuses on short-term cash flow, right? It doesn't build a history. QuickPay is a one-time transaction. Did we already cover this? Okay, there's a one-time transaction for each load. It doesn't establish a consistent track record of on-time payments over time, right? Which is a key factor in building credit. If I just repeated myself, I apologize. I lost track of my notes here. The potential reliance on QuickPay, right? It can be habit forming, right? Relying solely on quick pay can hinder your ability to manage finances without immediate cash flow, right? Because you are quick paying that carrier before you get paid, right? And this can be a crutch, right? Preventing you from building a strong financial foundation, right? Quick pay is also not universally offered, right? Your shippers aren't going to offer you quick pay options typically. Some might be on a 7-day, 15-day, 30-day. Some shippers are on a 45, 60, even 90-day pay. So, this again, going back to having a factoring company, they basically upfront you. And I forget what it is with Operfi. I believe it's typically like 95% of the invoiceable amount to your customer, right? So, you get paid even though you quick paid, but don't let that quick pay trap happen, right? Because there again, it's not getting reported, even though you're getting paid, the carrier's getting paid. Operfi, obviously, they're waiting on payment from your customer. In the transaction, goes smoothly, that credit's not being reported, right? It limits your flexibility and ability to build a diverse credit history with, your carrier partners. Okay. So all that being said, while quick pay can be helpful for, immediate cash flow needs, and paying your carriers and everything, and it might on the surface look good, it's not the best strategy for establishing, your broker credit. You'd be better off, focusing on building a strong financial foundation with trade credit, responsible credit card use, and using Operfi as your factor, because with the credit reporting, right? Guys, I hope that this was helpful for everybody. Again, I've got some other things that I really want to talk about. I actually am probably going to do a second follow-up video today if I have time. It's kind of a news update recently that I think that is of interest. But I really wanted to get this out because it seems like I'm talking to a lot of either agents that are looking to start their own brokerage. Some of them have had their authority, for the past year, but they haven't jumped into it yet. Some of you, just got out of training, have never been a freight broker before. Just numerous individuals that I've talked to recently, and it seemed like one of the most common topics was, getting your credit established. And some of these training programs out there don't even talk about building your credit as a broker, right? They give you these pie in the sky numbers and this and that, but they don't really discuss building relationships with your carriers, your customers, how to establish your credit, any of these types of things. But that's why we're here, right? Freight Master Resources. So I hope everybody's having a great start to their week. Everything's looking good. We've got some loads to quote today, so I'm not going to take up too much of your time because I've got to get on that, right? So with that, again, I hope everybody's having a great day, great week, and as always, be kind to one another. Bye-bye now.